Lying. Introduction. The perils of deception. How often do you lie? It's a question that catches most of us off guard. We like to believe that we're honest, decent people, but the truth is that lying is so ingrained in our daily lives that we barely notice when we do it. Whether it's small, seemingly harmless deceptions like complimenting a friend's questionable fashion choice or bigger lies that mask wrongdoing, deception is a ubiquitous aspect of human interaction. We tell ourselves that these little white lies are innocent, that they smooth over awkward moments and avoid unnecessary hurt. But what if they do more harm than good? What if every lie, no matter how small, chips away at our integrity and our relationships? In his insightful and thought-provoking book, Lying, Sam Harris confronts these questions with unflinching honesty. Harris argues that lying, even with the best of intentions, has significant consequences that ripple through our lives in ways we often fail to consider. He challenges us to examine the seemingly innocuous lies we tell and to question the social norms that perpetuate this behavior. By holding a mirror to our deceptive tendencies, Harris exposes the psychological toll, the relational damage, and the cultural acceptance of dishonesty. Through this summary, we'll explore Harris's arguments about why truthfulness matters and how it can transform our lives. We'll dive into the myth of the harmless lie, uncover the true cost of dishonesty, and examine why telling the truth is not just a moral imperative but a practical tool for building trust, maintaining peace of mind, and fostering meaningful relationships. As we embark on this journey, we'll break Harris's insights into 6 chapters, each tackling a specific aspect of lying and its impact. Whether it's the way lies distort relationships, burden our minds, or erode societal trust, Harris's message is clear. Honesty is more than a virtue, it's a necessity for living a life of integrity and authenticity. Through reflection and practice, we can embrace a life where honesty isn't just the best policy, it becomes the foundation of our personal and collective growth. Let's begin by challenging the comforting myth of the little white lie and discovering why even our smallest deceptions can have outsized consequences. Chapter 1. The Myth of the Harmless Lie. We often talk about little white lies as if they're harmless, even virtuous. We tell ourselves these lies are minor, insignificant acts of kindness that shield others from discomfort or preserve social harmony. For example, when a friend asks for your opinion on their new outfit and you say, "You look great," even if you think it's unflattering, you believe you're sparing their feelings. But as Sam Harris argues, no lie, no matter how small, is truly harmless. The very act of lying, even with the best intentions, undermines trust and carries consequences that are often hidden at first but grow over time. The language of diminishment. The phrase, little white lie, is itself a form of diminishing language. Words like little and white sanitize the idea of lying, implying innocence and insignificance. This linguistic sleight of hand allows us to rationalize dishonest behavior and avoid confronting its implications. But when we examine the impact of these so-called harmless lies, we often find a web of unintended consequences. Take, for example, the lie you tell your friend about their outfit. What happens when your dishonest praise emboldens them to wear it to an important event, where others judge them negatively? Your little white lie might have spared them a moment of discomfort but ultimately set them up for greater embarrassment. The ripple effect of deception. Every lie, no matter how small, creates a ripple effect. It influences how others perceive us and how we perceive ourselves. When you tell a lie, even one intended to protect feelings, you introduce a layer of insincerity into your relationship. The person you lied to might sense that something is off, even if they can't pinpoint it. And if they discover the truth later, their trust in you may be damaged. Lies also perpetuate a cycle of dishonesty, normalizing deception as an acceptable social tool. Moreover, lies often backfire. Imagine complimenting someone's new shoes out of politeness, only to have them gift you a pair for your birthday because they thought you loved them. Now you're stuck with a pair of shoes you dislike and a deeper obligation to maintain the lie. A better approach, honest kindness. Harris emphasizes that the alternative to lying is not brutal honesty but compassionate truthfulness. It's possible to tell the truth in a way that is sensitive and constructive. For instance, instead of saying, "That outfit is awful," you might say, "I think you look great in other styles that show off your personality more." This approach respects the person's feelings while maintaining integrity. Why honesty matters. Lying may seem like a quick fix, but it has long-term costs. It erodes trust, complicates relationships, and burdens us with the need to maintain the illusion. By contrast, honesty fosters deeper connections and mutual respect. It allows us to build relationships based on authenticity, where others know they can count on us for the truth. Harris's message is clear: no lie is truly harmless. Even the smallest deception carries a weight that, over time, can undermine our relationships and self-respect. In rejecting the myth of the harmless lie, we take the first step toward living a life of integrity and authenticity. Chapter 2. The Consequences of Deception. When we lie, we often justify it by believing the benefits outweigh the risks. We tell ourselves that sparing someone's feelings, avoiding conflict, or protecting our own interests is worth the cost of bending the truth. However, as Sam Harris reveals, deception, even in its mildest forms, has far-reaching consequences that extend beyond the immediate moment. Lies, whether minor or significant, create cracks in the foundation of trust and authenticity that support our relationships, reputations, and self-perception. Trust is fragile. Trust is one of the most valuable currencies in human relationships. It is built gradually through consistent honesty and mutual respect, yet it can be shattered in an instant. When someone discovers they've been lied to, their perception of the liar often changes irreversibly. The lie, no matter how small, plants seeds of doubt. They begin to question the liar's intentions, words, and actions. What else have they lied about? Can I trust anything they say? Even if the deception remains undiscovered, the liar may still sense its presence. Lies often introduce a subtle distance into relationships, eroding the openness and connection that honesty fosters. For instance, if you lie to avoid an uncomfortable conversation with a friend, the unspoken truth may weigh on your interactions, making them less genuine. Over time, such tensions can weaken even the closest bonds. The hidden costs of white lies. While blatant lies are easily recognized for their harm, white lies are often seen as harmless or even benevolent. Yet these lies have consequences too. Imagine you tell a coworker that their presentation was excellent, even though it was riddled with errors. On the surface, your lie may seem kind. You spared them embarrassment. But in doing so, you denied them an opportunity to improve. Worse, if others provide constructive feedback that contradicts your praise, your credibility will suffer. Similarly, white lies can backfire in unexpected ways. Suppose you tell a partner you're fine with something when you're not. Your dishonesty may avoid conflict in the moment, but it allows the unresolved issue to fester. The longer the truth is suppressed, the greater the potential for resentment and misunderstanding to grow. Lies create mental and emotional burdens. Maintaining a lie is rarely as simple as it seems. It often requires creating additional lies to cover the first, remembering what you said and to whom, and managing the anxiety of potentially being caught. This mental juggling act can lead to significant stress and emotional exhaustion. Furthermore, the more lies you tell, the harder it becomes to untangle the web you've woven. Lies also burden our self-esteem. Each time we lie, we reinforce the belief that we are incapable of handling the truth, that honesty would bring consequences we're unprepared to face. This internalized belief can diminish our confidence and integrity, leaving us with a fragmented sense of self. The domino effect of deception. Deception rarely exists in isolation. A single lie often sets off a chain reaction, leading to more lies and unintended consequences. For example, a student who lies about why they missed a deadline may need to fabricate additional excuses when questioned. Each new lie adds to the complexity of the situation, increasing the likelihood of being caught and facing harsher repercussions. This domino effect extends beyond the liar. Lies can create ripple effects that influence others' perceptions, decisions, and actions. For instance, a false rumor at work may lead to unnecessary tension or mistrust among colleagues, even if the original lie wasn't malicious. The path forward. Harris argues that the key to avoiding these pitfalls is to embrace honesty as a guiding principle, even when it feels uncomfortable. While telling the truth may sometimes lead to awkward or difficult moments, it ultimately fosters stronger, healthier relationships. By prioritizing authenticity over convenience, we create a foundation of trust and respect that benefits everyone involved. In this chapter, Harris challenges us to reflect on the true cost of deception, not just for others, but for ourselves. Lies may seem like shortcuts to smooth over conflict or protect feelings, but they are rarely worth the price we pay in trust, clarity, and peace of mind. Chapter 3. The Mental Burden of Dishonesty. Lying might seem like the path of least resistance in a difficult moment, but as Sam Harris explores, dishonesty is rarely the easy way out. Lies, even small ones, exact a significant toll on our mental and emotional well-being. They create a web of complexity, requiring effort to maintain and protect, which can ultimately lead to stress, guilt, and diminished self-esteem. In this chapter, we will explore how the mental burden of dishonesty weighs on the liar and why truthfulness offers a simpler, more liberating alternative. The cognitive load of lying. At its core, lying is an act of fabrication. Unlike telling the truth, which requires no mental manipulation, lying demands that we create a false narrative, often on the spot. This requires mental effort. The liar must invent a believable story, tailor it to their audience, and keep track of the details to avoid future inconsistencies. Once the initial lie is told, the work doesn't end. Maintaining a lie often requires telling additional lies to cover the first one. For instance, consider someone who lies about why they missed a deadline, claiming a family emergency. Later, when questioned, they must fabricate specifics about the emergency and remember those details consistently. This creates a growing cognitive load, requiring the liar to juggle multiple threads of deceit. Human memory, being imperfect and fallible, makes this juggling act increasingly prone to collapse. The truth, by contrast, is straightforward and self-sustaining. It requires no memory gymnastics or creative storytelling. By embracing honesty, we free ourselves from the exhausting mental labor that dishonesty demands. The anxiety of being exposed. Lying not only burdens the mind with extra work but also generates a persistent undercurrent of anxiety. No matter how confident a liar feels, there is always the possibility of being caught. The consequences of exposure may range from embarrassment to the loss of trust, respect, or even critical relationships. This fear of being unmasked can lead to heightened stress and hypervigilance, as liars often scrutinize their words and actions to avoid detection. Over time, this anxiety can take a toll on their mental health, contributing to feelings of paranoia, guilt, or even depression. These emotional costs far outweigh the temporary relief a lie might provide in the moment. The erosion of self-respect. Every lie, no matter how small, chips away at our sense of integrity. Lying often arises from a lack of confidence in our ability to navigate a situation honestly. By resorting to deception, we reinforce the belief that we are incapable of handling the truth or its potential consequences. This internalized doubt diminishes our self-esteem and creates a disconnection between our actions and our values. Harris argues that this disconnection can lead to a fractured sense of self. When we lie, we construct a false persona to match the narrative we've created. Over time, this gap between our true selves and the image we present to others can make us feel inauthentic, eroding our confidence and sense of identity. The stress of misalignment. Lying often creates a state of internal misalignment. Our actions and words are out of sync with our true feelings or beliefs, creating a psychological tension known as cognitive dissonance. This tension arises because we instinctively value honesty and authenticity, even if we don't always act in alignment with those values. For example, someone who lies about their qualifications on a job application may feel uneasy every time they're asked about their skills or experience. They know that their lie has created a disconnect between who they are and how they are perceived, and this awareness generates discomfort. The only way to resolve cognitive dissonance is to either abandon the lie or rationalize it, which often requires further dishonesty. The liberation of truth. By contrast, living truthfully is freeing. Honesty aligns our actions and values, creating a sense of peace and authenticity. When we tell the truth, we have nothing to hide, no mental threads to manage, and no fear of being exposed. This simplicity not only reduces stress but also fosters greater self-respect and confidence. Moreover, embracing honesty allows us to face challenges with integrity. While the truth may sometimes lead to uncomfortable moments, it also offers clarity and resolution. We learn that we are capable of handling the truth, even in difficult situations, and this knowledge strengthens our resilience. Harris reminds us that the burden of dishonesty is heavy and unnecessary. By choosing truthfulness, we free ourselves from the tangled web of lies, the anxiety of being exposed, and the erosion of self-respect. In doing so, we create space for authenticity, peace, and genuine connections with others. Chapter 4. The ripple effect of lies on relationships. Lying doesn't exist in a vacuum. Each falsehood we tell has a ripple effect, influencing not only our own lives but also the people around us. In this chapter, Sam Harris explores how deception undermines trust, corrodes the quality of our relationships, and fosters a culture of dishonesty that impacts society at large. Harris argues that even seemingly insignificant lies can create lasting harm and that truthfulness is the foundation of meaningful, enduring relationships. Trust, the cornerstone of relationships. Trust is the invisible thread that binds human connections. Whether in friendships, family, or professional settings, relationships thrive when people believe in each other's honesty and dependability. But lying, even in small ways, weakens this bond. When someone discovers that they've been lied to, their perception of the other person changes. They begin to question the liar's motives, integrity, and authenticity. For example, consider a spouse who lies about a minor expense to avoid conflict. When the deception is uncovered, it often leads to deeper concerns. What else might they be hiding? If they can lie about this, how do I know they're honest about bigger issues? Even when the lie itself seems trivial, its discovery often introduces doubt and suspicion into the relationship. Once trust is broken, it can be difficult, and sometimes impossible, to rebuild. The damage of small lies. Many people justify small lies by claiming they are harmless or even necessary. But Harris demonstrates that these so-called white lies often have unintended consequences. They can snowball into larger deceptions or create misunderstandings that harm relationships. Imagine telling a friend you're too busy to meet for coffee when the truth is that you don't feel like going. If your friend discovers that you spent the afternoon binge-watching television, they may feel hurt or undervalued. This scenario could have been avoided by simply saying, "I'm feeling a bit drained today and need some time to myself." While the latter response might feel uncomfortable in the moment, it fosters openness and understanding rather than breeding resentment. Harris argues that when we tell the truth, even in small matters, we create a culture of transparency and mutual respect. This honesty signals to others that we value them enough to be truthful, even when the truth is inconvenient or uncomfortable. Lies breed more lies. Lying often sets off a chain reaction. One falsehood begets another, as the liar scrambles to maintain their deception. This creates a web of deceit that grows increasingly complex and difficult to manage. For example, a colleague who fabricates an excuse for missing a deadline may have to invent additional stories to justify their absence or cover up the initial lie. This snowball effect not only increases the liar's stress but also deepens the harm to relationships. People may sense that something is amiss, even if they don't know the exact nature of the deception. Over time, this erodes the trust and respect that are essential for healthy interactions. The collective cost of dishonesty. Harris emphasizes that lying doesn't only harm individual relationships, it also impacts society as a whole. When dishonesty becomes normalized, it creates an environment where deception is expected, and mistrust becomes the default. This dynamic is particularly evident in institutions like politics or media, where the erosion of public trust can lead to widespread cynicism and disengagement. On a smaller scale, personal dishonesty contributes to this larger culture of deception. Every time we lie, we implicitly endorse the idea that lying is acceptable. This can influence others to adopt similar behaviors, perpetuating a cycle of mistrust and dishonesty that harms communities and societies at large. Honesty as a bridge. In contrast, honesty strengthens relationships by fostering understanding, respect, and connection. When we choose to be truthful, we signal to others that we value authenticity and trust. This encourages reciprocity, as people are more likely to be honest with those they perceive as truthful. Over time, this mutual honesty deepens bonds and creates a solid foundation for enduring relationships. Harris also notes that honesty allows us to confront and resolve conflicts more effectively. Rather than avoiding uncomfortable truths or masking problems with deception, truthful communication enables us to address issues head-on and work toward solutions. This approach not only strengthens individual relationships but also contributes to a healthier, more transparent society. Lying may seem like an easy way to avoid conflict or protect someone's feelings, but Harris shows us that dishonesty comes at a high cost. It damages trust, undermines relationships, and perpetuates a culture of deceit. By choosing honesty, we create stronger, more authentic connections and contribute to a more trustworthy world. Chapter 5. The Mental and Emotional Burden of Deception. Lying is not only harmful to relationships, it also takes a profound toll on the liar. In this chapter, Sam Harris explores how dishonesty generates cognitive and emotional strain, creating a tangled web of stress and anxiety that grows with each untruth. He asserts that living a life of honesty liberates us from these burdens, enabling us to embrace authenticity and peace of mind. The mental strain of keeping lies straight. Lying often creates a complex web of falsehoods that the liar must keep straight. Unlike the truth, which is static and unchanging, lies require constant maintenance. To sustain a deception, one must remember the details of the lie, whom it was told to, and the context in which it was told. Over time, this cognitive load becomes exhausting, especially if the lies begin to contradict one another. For instance, imagine lying to your boss about why you were late to work. If you tell one colleague that you had car trouble, another that you were delayed by a family emergency, and your boss that you had a doctor's appointment, you now have to juggle three conflicting narratives. If someone asks a follow-up question or if the situation arises again, you must ensure your responses align with the original lie. This mental juggling act consumes energy and focus, leaving less bandwidth for meaningful pursuits. Harris emphasizes that the truth, by contrast, is simple and freeing. It requires no mental gymnastics or careful tracking. When we choose honesty, we lighten our cognitive load and free ourselves from the stress of maintaining a false reality. The emotional toll of deception. Lying often triggers a cascade of negative emotions, including guilt, shame, and fear of exposure. Even if the lie is never uncovered, the liar is rarely at peace. Guilt may linger as a quiet, nagging voice in the background, reminding the liar of their dishonesty. Shame arises from the recognition that lying diminishes our integrity and self-respect. And fear of being caught, judged, or punished lurks in the shadows, creating constant anxiety. Harris suggests that this emotional burden is compounded by the liar's awareness that they are not living in alignment with their values. Most people want to see themselves as good, honest individuals. When we lie, we create a gap between our actions and our self-image, leading to inner conflict and discomfort. This dissonance can erode our mental well-being over time, contributing to stress, anxiety, and even depression. The snowball effect of dishonesty. One of the most insidious aspects of lying is its tendency to snowball. A single lie often requires additional lies to cover it up, creating a cycle that becomes harder to escape. This escalation not only increases the liar's mental and emotional burden but also heightens the risk of being caught. The more lies we tell, the more likely it is that we will slip up or contradict ourselves, leading to embarrassment, loss of trust, or other consequences. Harris points out that this snowball effect can also erode our self-esteem. The more we lie, the more we may see ourselves as dishonest, untrustworthy individuals. This negative self-perception can influence our behavior, making us more likely to lie in the future and perpetuating a cycle of dishonesty and self-loathing. The liberation of living honestly. Harris argues that choosing honesty is not only the morally right thing to do but also the most practical. Living truthfully eliminates the mental strain of keeping lies straight, the emotional burden of guilt and shame, and the constant fear of exposure. It allows us to face the world with integrity and confidence, knowing that we have nothing to hide. Moreover, honesty fosters a sense of inner peace and self-respect. When we live in alignment with our values, we feel good about ourselves and our choices. This positive self-image enhances our mental well-being and empowers us to build authentic, meaningful relationships with others. A practical guide to honesty. While the benefits of honesty are clear, embracing truthfulness can be challenging, especially in a world that often rewards deception. Harris encourages us to start small, practicing honesty in everyday interactions and reflecting on how it feels to live truthfully. Over time, this practice can help us develop the courage and resilience to confront more difficult truths. He also emphasizes the importance of self-compassion. Being honest doesn't mean being perfect. We all make mistakes and fall short of our ideals at times. What matters is our commitment to learning from those mistakes and striving to do better in the future. Dishonesty may seem like an easy way out, but Harris shows us that it creates a heavy mental and emotional burden. By choosing honesty, we free ourselves from the stress of deception, cultivate self-respect, and embrace a life of authenticity and peace. In doing so, we not only improve our own well-being but also contribute to a more honest and trustworthy world. Chapter 6: Building a Culture of Honesty. As we've seen throughout this discussion, honesty isn't merely a personal virtue. It's the foundation for healthy relationships, meaningful communication, and a thriving society. In this final chapter, Sam Harris examines the broader implications of truth-telling and explores how we can foster a culture that values and rewards honesty. The ripple effect of honesty. One of the most compelling reasons to embrace honesty is its ability to create a ripple effect. Just as dishonesty can spread, breeding mistrust and deception, honesty can inspire others to live truthfully. When we consistently model integrity, we set an example for our families, friends, and colleagues. Over time, this influence can grow, encouraging others to value truth in their own lives and interactions. Harris suggests that honesty is particularly powerful in leadership roles. Whether in the workplace, in politics, or at home, leaders have the unique opportunity to set the tone for their communities. When leaders prioritize transparency and truthfulness, they create an environment where honesty is not only expected but also respected. This fosters a culture of trust, collaboration, and accountability. The cost of dishonesty in society. While individual lies can damage relationships, systemic dishonesty poses an even greater threat. When dishonesty infiltrates institutions, whether in the form of corporate fraud, political corruption, or media manipulation, it undermines public trust and erodes the fabric of society. Citizens lose faith in their leaders, consumers question the integrity of businesses, and communities become divided by misinformation. Harris argues that combating systemic dishonesty requires both individual and collective action. On an individual level, we must commit to truth-telling in our own lives and hold others accountable when they fail to do the same. On a societal level, we must demand transparency from institutions and support policies that promote accountability and ethical behavior. Creating a personal practice of honesty. Fostering a culture of honesty begins with each of us. Harris encourages readers to adopt a personal practice of truth-telling, rooted in self-awareness and intentionally. This practice involves not only avoiding falsehoods, but also striving for honesty in our thoughts, actions, and relationships. A key component of this practice is self-reflection. Harris suggests taking time to examine our motives for lying or withholding the truth. Are we trying to protect someone's feelings? Avoid conflict? Protect ourselves from embarrassment or consequences? By understanding the underlying reasons for our dishonesty, we can address these issues more effectively and make conscious choices to live truthfully. Another important aspect of this practice is learning how to communicate truthfully yet compassionately. As we discussed in earlier chapters, honesty doesn't require harshness or cruelty. With practice, we can learn to deliver difficult truths in ways that are respectful, constructive, and kind. Overcoming barriers to truth-telling. While honesty is essential, it's not always easy. Fear of conflict, rejection, or consequences can make truth-telling feel risky, especially in situations where honesty challenges the status quo. Harris acknowledges these challenges but emphasizes that they are often outweighed by the long-term benefits of living truthfully. To overcome these barriers, Harris recommends focusing on the bigger picture. Instead of fixating on the immediate discomfort of telling the truth, consider the long-term impact of your actions. How will your honesty affect your relationships, your self-respect, and your integrity over time? Will a lie ultimately cause more harm than good? He also encourages readers to seek support from others who value honesty. Surrounding ourselves with people who share our commitment to truth can help us stay accountable and navigate difficult situations with courage and clarity. The path forward. As Harris concludes his exploration of honesty, he reminds us that truth-telling is a journey, not a destination. None of us are perfect, and there will inevitably be moments when we fall short of our ideals. What matters is our commitment to learning, growing, and striving to live truthfully in an imperfect world. By embracing honesty in our own lives, we can contribute to a culture that values integrity and authenticity. We can build relationships based on trust, foster communities that prioritize accountability, and create a society where truth is respected and celebrated. And in doing so, we not only improve our own well-being but also lay the foundation for a better world for generations to come. Conclusion: the freedom of living truthfully. Throughout Lying, Sam Harris presents a compelling argument for the transformative power of honesty in our personal lives and society at large. This conclusion serves as a call to action, encouraging us to embrace truth-telling not as a rigid moral rule, but as a liberating way of life. Why honesty matters. At its core, honesty is not just about avoiding lies. It is about fostering trust, clarity, and authenticity in all our interactions. Harris argues that dishonesty, whether through small white lies or significant deceptions, introduces unnecessary complications and damages our relationships. Lies, even when told with good intentions, corrode the very fabric of trust that binds us together as human beings. Living truthfully, by contrast, offers immense benefits. It enables us to build stronger, more authentic relationships. It frees us from the burden of maintaining falsehoods and allows us to face reality with clarity and courage. Most importantly, honesty fosters a deep sense of personal integrity, helping us align our actions with our values. The courage to be honest. Honesty is not always easy. It often requires us to navigate uncomfortable truths, risk conflict, or admit our own shortcomings. But as Harris reminds us, the temporary discomfort of truth-telling is far outweighed by the long-term benefits. By choosing to be honest, we affirm our respect for ourselves and others, and we contribute to a culture of trust and accountability. Living truthfully also requires a nuanced understanding of honesty. It does not mean being brutally or unnecessarily blunt, nor does it mean abandoning tact or compassion. Instead, it calls for a balance between truthfulness and empathy, a commitment to speaking the truth with kindness and care. A vision for a more honest world. Harris concludes his exploration by emphasizing that honesty is not merely a personal virtue but a collective responsibility. In a world increasingly plagued by misinformation and mistrust, the need for truth-telling has never been more urgent. By committing to honesty in our individual lives, we can contribute to a broader cultural shift, one that values integrity, transparency, and genuine connection. This vision for a more honest world is not an abstract ideal. It is a practical and achievable goal, grounded in our daily choices and interactions. Whether we are navigating personal relationships, engaging with institutions, or contributing to public discourse, our commitment to truth-telling has the power to create positive change. The freedom of truth. Ultimately, Harris invites us to consider the profound freedom that comes from living truthfully. When we embrace honesty, we free ourselves from the mental and emotional burden of deception. We build relationships rooted in trust and authenticity. And we create a foundation for a life of integrity and purpose. As we close the final chapter of Lying, the challenge is clear: to move beyond the comfort of deception and embrace the liberating, transformative power of honesty. It is not always the easiest path, but it is undoubtedly the most rewarding. For in the end, living truthfully is not just a choice, it is a way of being that honors our deepest values and our shared humanity.